Hi everyone, welcome back to the first episode of 2024 with CaCo Talks. We're excited to be back. We've been gone for a minute, but we're back with what? The jump off. As our good friend Lil Kim has once said.
Not Lil Kim.
Hey,
Come back with
I'm open to quoting anybody,
some
alright?
weird dancing moves. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Her song Back the Jump Off is quite popular.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying the moves that she typically does, they're questionable. So I was saying we're coming back with the little Kim moves.
Yeah. Maybe that's the move for 2024. I don't know.
I'm here for
But
it. Do what makes you happy, baby. Protect your peace.
seriously. You know what I actually speak I don't before we get into the episode, what I like about the 2024, what I'm seeing about like just online and people talking about this new year coming in, people are like not trying to do this whole new year, new me thing.
No, for real, it's fake.
I don't know
It's
if
a
you get that
scam.
consensus, but I don't see people doing the new year, new me thing. They're like, look, new year, maybe better. I might change some things, but I'm gonna be me.
I feel like
And
that's
I feel like
to
that's the
be fair,
vibe.
I think that narrative is very linked to capitalism. In that it makes you like buy new things, invest in things, and
Yeah.
be things that you're not going to maintain. Well, it's just a way to maintain capitalism.
Yeah, I can see that. Or just to maintain the status quo to like be more quote normal. And what I
Hmm.
mean by normal is like following the norms.
Yeah, which is
Um,
forever changing. First of all, second off,
yeah,
if it's not true to you, it's not going to stick. So
exactly. Yeah. So I really like, I just really haven't seen people do this whole resolution. I'm going to be, and do
yeah,
these
I
kind of
haven't
like
seen that either.
unrealistic, or I'm going to say unrealistic, but these sort of like standard, like I'm going to go to the gym more. I'm going to do
Facts.
it more.
Yeah, I
But I've
haven't
just
seen
seen people
any
be
of them
like,
honestly.
we're going to keep it rolling,
Facts.
you know?
Same. We're just gonna follow. Yesterday was 2020. Today is 2024. That was pretty much what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's just because people are exhausted now. I don't know if you're feeling that, but I just feel like, just economic issues, social issues, war, all these things are like really exhausting. So I think people were like, look, I ain't even got it in me to say I'm going to try to commit to XYZ. Thank God we're here. Let's keep it rolling day by day, you know?
Hmm.
So, and that could also just be my own thing too, but that's what the new year has felt like to me. I just didn't see too many like people being so resolution-y, you know? Um, but yeah, we are happy to be back in 2024. We took all the first couple weeks. We were transitioning into some things. And now we're excited to get the ball rolling for this new year of CaCo Talks, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so first,
Yes.
anything you want to say add to that before we get started?
Welcome back, everybody. We're excited to be back. So, hopefully, we can continue with another great year. This will be year 2
Three,
at some point.
almost
3?
three,
No,
right?
because this is 2 years.
Okay, two.
Yeah, because last year was a year. Um,
Oh yeah,
in
two.
like May
Excuse me.
area. So this will be our second year doing the podcast. So yeah, we're excited to do this, and bear with us because we still have things going on in life. So if we have any
Mhm.
issues, please bear with us. We still are navigating things. We are human. We are lifing very much
Yeah,
so. So yeah. But yeah, we hope to be consistent this year, and we hope to give you guys brand new content. So yeah, thanks for joining us again.
absolutely. Well, first up on the docket is going to be we're gonna do another Reddit episode, but this time it's gonna be from Reddit Black Ladies. Which, if you're not following Reddit, I personally found that Reddit thread or community, excuse me, like maybe a couple months ago, maybe a year
Hmm.
ago, and I just found it really interesting because it is specifically it's like supposed to be a safe space for Black women to express concerns about being Black or just everyday human concerns, but obviously with from a Black woman's experience.
Hmm.
So we have a couple of those that I think would be really nice to start off the new year with. Since our Reddit episodes, I feel like we get into good discussions on them. It's just kind of like catch all, almost like a Dear Abby type thing, you know?
Very sure. Yeah, no,
Yes.
I like Reddit because Reddit. Well, first thing is Reddit. People, people really go to Reddit for advice and to share things they maybe wouldn't share with your average day person or on
Hmm.
your average platform, right? So sometimes it is the wild, wild west on
Oh,
Reddit,
definitely.
but I think you can also find a sense of community a lot of times in Reddit, and people who share maybe your similar ways of thinking or similar experience or whatever. And some people offer good advice, others don't. You just have to, have a little bit of discernment. But
Mhm.
it is. I don't really seek advice off Reddit, but I do enjoy reading them. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting. Reddit makes me feel less alone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, only because I'm like most of the things that happen to me if I just type it in and I like put Reddit in there,
Mm-hmm.
it's like somebody has already
Yeah,
have
somebody's
kind of
experience. Somebody's already
experienced it
asked.
and they
Yeah.
have some advice or something on it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, so that has been
Nice. Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so today we're talking about
we're doing the
we
Black
are
ladies.
reading from the Black Ladies Reddit, and so the first one we have is titled "Why Is Grooming Normalized?"
Mm,
And she goes on to say, "I think it's disgusting how rap culture normalizes grooming. There's the girl who just turned 18 about 8 days ago, and she's basically in a relationship with this rapper named Boston Richie. He's 26 years old and acts as her pimp or something like that, but he pays for everything." What's even more disturbing is the way her mother behaves on social media. She doesn't seem to care. The situation reminds me of R. Kelly and how some mothers are willing to exploit their daughter for money. What's concerning is that nobody seems to be discussing the issue. So many girls are being preyed upon, and it's absolutely disgusting.
this is
Hmm.
interesting. I
So,
put this one on there because I just found it like we're having another discussion later on about these kinds of things as well, and I just think and the Black community, I don't know if we talk about it enough. So, but go ahead. What were you saying?
okay. So, is the picture that's at the bottom, is that the girl that she's talking about specifically?
Yeah, I guess this is a girl.
Mm,
I
got it.
also want to add to this, like, there's this thing on in the internet now about like the Sephora kids. I don't know if you've seen that, but the
Mm-mm.
little girls going in Sephora and like buying all the makeup. They're like 10 years old, buying all the makeup, basically, I guess, to like look older and like do all these things. And I just thought that would be nice to tie into this conversation
Mm,
because like there's obviously a grooming problem, which is a lot across basically all patriarchal societies, right?
mm-hmm.
But this idea of like little young women, like 18, right? Like not even out of her teens, being basically groomed by an older rapper, right? Um, and like looking much older. Like she looks like she could be my age, if not older. She looks like she could be in her 30s, you know, based
Mm,
off of this image. It's giving very
yeah.
much Instagram baddie, right? And I don't know, I just thought that was an interesting conversation to have.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a lot of this going on, unfortunately. I don't think it's really normalized. I think it stems from a lack of the person who is being groomed being aware that they're being groomed,
Hmm.
and so I think that's why it seems normal. But I don't think it is normal because normally when people realize and they get out of the said situation. The
Yeah,
problem is though that he is 26
he
and she's
knows.
18, and she at an 18-year-old, I'm not sure if she's aware to make decisions
Yeah,
that are thinking about the longevity of her life and or the ramifications. And so the thing is, I don't wish this on her by any means. If it's just where she wants to be, then congratulations, right? That obviously that's where she's at.
hmm,
Um, but at the same time, I do think this is a lesson that she will have to learn. If you don't want to be groomed, then you're gonna have to, and this is not to put blame on the victim, but you also going to have to make different choices too, because we can't change the person grooming, to be fair, a lot of the times. But as the woman in this relationship, if you don't want to be groomed, you're going to have to make different choices, hopefully.
yeah.
And so
No, good.
maybe she just needs to, maybe she should just figure out her for a little bit.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if she. Somebody in the comments was saying the issue a lot of times is the victim may not necessarily realize that they are being groomed,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
to be the truth and full and honest, like we've talked about this multiple times. But once your brain fully develops, what is it called? The frontal lobe
Oh yeah, it
really
fully
kicks in.
forms. Mm-hmm.
When that fully kicks in, you start to see things 10 times more clearly. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
hold you
Oh,
because
agreed.
I'm gonna be honest with you. 18. I wouldn't have recognized as, and I was aware, an aware 18-year-old. I wasn't even like ignorant or anything, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have called that grooming.
Mm-hmm.
Now as an adult, I would look back and say somebody my age trying to go after an 18, 17-year old, 17, 18-year old, that there's a big development gap there,
Mm-hmm.
because I've lived life, excuse me, enough to know that 25-year-old me is moving in different ways than an 18-year-old me could have even begun to move, simply because I was just leaving high school, you know? So to us, we see that as grooming because he's 26 years old. Frankly, what do you have in common with an 18-year-old for the most part? No
Well,
offense.
I think too, but
But
like it seems like maybe her interest is into his status as well. Like maybe it is who he is as a person, but he's obviously providing her something in return, which they say in the post that he pays for everything.
yeah, and that's
So,
another, and then you learn later on that somebody providing you everything is also a form of control.
oh, for sure. I mean, you know that when you get older,
Yeah.
it
And
doesn't seem like her mom is okay with it. Maybe it seems like so.
they're saying her mom was like all right with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It seems like she's okay with it. So I'm sure that. In my personal opinion, apples don't usually far from the tree. So,
Mm. I don't know why this is like kind of giving me like a Black China situation. I don't know,
I can see that.
just
I
a
can
little
see that.
bit.
I don't know. I think it really just depends on the person. Like you have to figure out where you want to lie in that. Obviously, she's very young. He's a bit older than her, which we all know the age of consent is not necessarily consent, but of adulthood is 18 to infinity, right?
Mm.
And so there are no
It
parameters
should
on
be
them.
up though. I
I
don't.
mean,
I think.
maybe.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I think it should be considered like a pre-adult between 18 and 25.
Maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think there's a lot of kids who want to and desperately desire for things like this because it's the thing you shouldn't do. It's like rebellious. It's like
Yeah.
just. So I don't think it will. I don't think it's necessarily normalized. I think first of all, teenagers are going, especially teenagers who are pushing the envelope. They're going to want what they cannot have, right?
Yeah.
And then you have predatory men who are willing to do that. So I promise you, if it's not said man who is predatory seeking it out, a young girl will seek it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, and I don't wish this on anybody, but some people really have to learn for themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and so, especially if you don't have a home that is teaching you otherwise,
Yeah.
sometimes you have a home that's teaching you otherwise, and you still have to learn for yourself. So I don't necessarily think it's normalized, but I definitely think there is a culture of it,
Oh yeah.
and our society
Especially
condones it because we don't
the
hold men
rap
responsible.
culture.
But
I think especially the culture that they're saying, which is like rapper
yeah,
culture,
hmm
um, and entertainment culture, um, and we've seen time and time again. And it's not even just Black culture that does this, right? Like we've seen time and time again, white, individuals doing this same sort of, so and so was a rock star with a 17-year-old, like, and you know what I mean? Like these things come
hmm
out all the time, right?
hmm
Um, so I just think that it's just really interesting, not really interesting, but like I think the conversations need to continue to be had so that possibly they can save somebody who is like, oh, I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah,
hmm
well, it might be that you're 18, 19, dating somebody who's 30. That's what Cassie and Diddy was.
hmm
And then eventually, what ended up happening to Cassie? Horrific things ended up happening.
yeah,
And maybe she has a big payout because of it now, but she doesn't get her life back. So I think continuing to have these conversations is necessary so that younger women can see like there are these men out here, or not even just men, there are these people out here who prey on younger people for this specific reason. You know,
yeah,
obviously people are allowed to make whatever decision they want to make, you know, but at least you have the information.
yeah. I mean, I think even if you have the information, people are going to do what they feel is best for them, and
Yeah.
so.
And then that there's always going to be, it's like we were talking about yesterday. It's like loss prevention. We're going to
hmm
account for the fact that some of y'all just going to walk
Get
right on
lost.
into that trap. No
Yeah,
offense.
so
Some
somebody's
people
going
got
to
to
get
go.
lost.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like we don't want it for you, and we'll be here to support,
hmm
unfortunately, when things go left, like we said. But you got to make your own decisions, and hopefully you would catch enough on the front end. That's really what you say. Hopefully the net is stronger, like the positive net or positive gain, whatever,
But I think too, it depends on what you consider as positive gain, because you may consider the situation positive, or she may consider the situation positive.
Hmm.
So it really depends on
Yeah,
what
and I
you
mean,
want out of life.
yeah, most definitely. I mean, that's why I said I think sometimes just because we consider it positive, like doesn't mean that, or we consider it negative doesn't mean it actually is negative.
Yeah.
And that's why I would just like consider that as like people make their own choices,
Hmm.
and we just account for the fact that people are going to make their own choices.
Yeah. That's all you can do.
That's all you
To be
can do,
fair.
and try to get the information out as much as possible. I'm glad we're having these conversations now because we weren't having conversations about what grooming was when we were 18.
Mm-mm.
The only thing we were told is don't get in a white van and that pedophiles are out there. We didn't talk about grooming as an adult,
Yeah, I don't think
which
so.
is actually much more, in my opinion. I've seen that be much more common than someone just being a pedophile. Like, you know, so we were always watching out for like the creepy man around the corner when it's like what we're coming to realize is the creepy man be our uncle or our cousin or the brother or you know what I'm saying? Like it be people that we know and we've quote trusted and we've normalized. And I think that was a conversation we were not having as children,
Yeah, that's fair.
you know. So I'm glad that conversation is starting to happen. It's like not to make people distrustful, but like this the stats say that if you're going to be a victim, it's going to be by somebody not like Herbert the pervert. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, I think it can be anybody. Like, I don't think you should be ignorant to the fact that it can be someone you do or do not know, right? Because
Hmm.
a predator is a predator. But I think that it's important to know how to, um, on of my personal opinion, basic on a basic level of like self advocacy. If you notice something wrong or something doesn't feel right, listening to said intuition. I think even being aware of what things can look like. So if you say by society standards you end up in a grooming situation, and this is
Hmm.
something that you really want and desire, and you like this person, then it's not grooming. So I mean, being, I guess, knowledgeable about the different types of relationships and the implications and the consequences of them, and moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, hey, like you said, you just gotta account for the fact that people are gonna make their own choices.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
This is what it
I
is,
wish them
and put the
this
information
relationship
out
the
there.
best. Nonetheless, hopefully it's nothing like the R. Kelly situation, because I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But hopefully, if whatever happens, I hope that it's for the best for everybody, and it is at least a learning lesson. So.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you wish for the best, and she's 18, so like she can do what she want to do,
Mhm.
but I do. It's I think two things can be true. Like we wish you the best, but we've also seen this story
Mhm.
go down a
Mhm.
certain path multiple
Yeah.
times. Like it's like tales old as time kind of thing.
Mhm.
So we,
There's a comment that says it's hard, but it pays you to just mind your business. Like, I feel
yeah,
that.
agreed. It's
This
like
is one of those things.
yeah, and I do think it would be worthwhile for the community to not normalize that kind of relationship, just so that like if people decide to enter it, it's not like, oh, this is fine because we've seen it go down. It's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. We're not normalizing it though. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't. Me personally, like, I think normalizing what is normalized depends on your perspective. Personally, because some people may not consider this normal. Some people may consider this normal. Whatever.
Yeah.
You have your personal opinions on what you want, your ideas out of a relationship, for different reasons, right? I hope that the reason why you think this is normal or not normal is out with the best interest of everybody in mind. Um, but I do think, like, somebody's relationship is really none of my business, to be fair, and so
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't know the ins and outs of said relationship to be like, oh, this is definitely grooming. Like, we get to see glimpses of people's relationship from the
Yeah.
outside looking in. So who am I to say? That's why I can't be like, oh, this is normalized or not. I personally don't think it's normalized. I think that, people definitely desire this, But and there's typically a reason why people desire this, right? I don't, not really privy to that knowledge either. So I don't know. I don't know. This is,
Yeah.
for me, this is difficult to speak on because I don't know what has brought her to the point of like wanting to date him. I don't know if she really likes him for who he is as a person. I don't know if he treats her well. I don't know, like, we know is that he pays for everything, but who's to say she doesn't have her own money? Who's to say that, this is not even just a gimmick to get her out and about into the world? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know what arrangements they have to be like, this is grooming. I don't know.
I mean, we don't totally know. We're speculating based off of a Reddit post, so we
Hmm.
can't totally know, like you're
Yeah.
saying.
And to be fair, I don't even care to know. Like,
No, I
do
mean,
you,
not
girly?
necessarily care to know, but it does. The issue does. Okay, so when we put this in conversation with things like the Cassie situation, it's like, okay, this could have been Cassie, right? So later we're like, oh, this becomes a systemic issue because we're like, well, they then we're talking about somebody who is a habitual predator like a Diddy because of these smaller, well, we don't know type things, later. So it's like it's hard to reconcile, the years later when it comes out so and so was really being abused and so was really suffering under this person.
I mean,
And
I hear that,
then
but I do think there is a level of choice in that. And this is not to victim blame. I do think the choice comes from, there was a benefit to Cassie by being in said relationship. Now, did she
yeah,
know that was going to come with abuse? Maybe not. But at some point, she could either no longer get out, or she chose to be okay with that. And so I
I
cannot,
don't know.
obviously, it came out later that she was being abused and she was able to get what she desired out of whatever agreement they could come to, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't think that, and I don't wish this on anybody, but I cannot change what you allow. I cannot advocate for you on something that you are not willing to advocate for yourself. So all I can do
And that's
is be
true.
here to support you if you decide to get out of it. Now that I can be of a resource to, but I cannot, even if you were educating about it. 18-year-old Cassie, I'm sure, was probably not going to make the same decision at 18 as she would today. But at 18, I'm sure Diddy looked great. He had great things and she wanted those things. And so she made some of those choices with that in
Yeah,
mind.
it's just
And
this is
that
just like a
cost her
perfect
a lot
storm to
more.
me. This is like a perfect storm because even as a you want to be an advocate for the women, but they do have agency and autonomy. The
Hmm.
predators know that,
Hmm.
and they
They pry on
seduce
that.
them and they
Yeah,
prey on it. So
exactly.
they're like, well, she made a decision,
Hmm.
right? Which is true. She did make a decision, but it was also a decision made by what, swaying kind
By
of.
a series of choices. If I give you choice A and B, and you
But you
choose
don't always know
choice,
what comes with A and B because you're kind of young
but
and
nobody does.
inexperienced.
But nobody does. But you still have to, if you see something going off course, then you can advocate for yourself to get out of those things,
Hmm.
hopefully. And hopefully you're not in too deep where it's, it gets to like a Cassie and Diddy. Because I don't get me wrong, I don't wish anything that Diddy did on Cassie. But in part, there was a part of the agreement that Cassie agreed to. There is. So you have to accept the consequences of that. You do. In
Yeah,
whatever
I
choices
just
that
feel
you
like that
make,
gets
in
into
whatever
victim
relationship that
blaming. I feel
you
like that gets into victim blaming because yes, you agreed to the relationship initially, but if you agreed to a quote loving non-problematic relationship, then you signed up for that, not for the egregious abuse that
But you
came with
don't, unfortunately, and this is not, like I said, I keep saying this as a disclaimer. I am not trying to victim blame, but I cannot control another person. I can. The only thing I can control is myself. So if I come into a situation and I feel like it's getting a little abusy, my best bet is to leave.
it. Yes, that is your best
Period.
bet,
I
but I'm
cannot
saying
control you.
that's true. I'm just saying everybody doesn't even always recognize that something is abuse until
Sure.
later.
Absolutely.
And
I
that's what makes
absolutely
it. That's
agree.
why this is a perfect storm for a predator
Oh, I agree.
because it's ambiguous.
Oh,
It's
my
very
point, but there's
ambiguous.
nothing I can do. All I can do is wait in the sidelines and hope that you see something different, and maybe be like, "Hey, this is kind of red flagging to me, baby girl. Mm, let's.
Yeah, that's
Did
why,
you
and
think about this? You
it
know,
makes it difficult for people who want to advocate. And like we can see a train coming and know how to stop the train and know exactly what to do, but
can't do
this
anything
person
about it."
is in charge of the is the conductor of said train,
Mhm.
and it's like and the predators know that. That's why it makes it really easy. That's why predators persist because in some ways due to this person, the victim basically having agency and them being able to manipulate, they have a say so in it.
Mhm.
And that's, I mean, I think that's exactly what the Diddy situation was.
Pretty much.
He had some sort of manipulative control in of her. I don't say her mind, but her behavior for sure, and that's complicated by having control of her money, having
Hmm.
control of where she lives, her career. You know, and that's what they look to do, is to infiltrate your entire life. That's why I hate to say this. It sounds very, when they say he pays for everything, he does everything. It gives Diddy, because that's their way in. It's hard to untangle yourself from that.
I don't know. To be fair, that is a speculation. We don't know if he pays for everything, to be fair. And we
I
don't know
mean,
the
I
arrangement
guess
that they have.
I'm
So
assuming that this is, if this is the truth based off of Reddit. Maybe I shouldn't assume Reddit is the truth, but if it is,
I take everything with Reddit as a grain of salt. Because to
I
be
mean, we
fair,
don't
like
know,
as someone
but
who
I'm
is,
assuming that for the scenario, for scenario's sake, if somebody really is doing it, that makes it easier for a predator, i.e., Diddy.
I mean, some people who do grooming aren't even providing financially. Some people are don't have jobs and they're grooming.
That's true too. I'm just
So
saying,
it doesn't have to, it's not just the financial means. Like, and that's why I'm saying, like, you cannot control anyone else. The best thing you can do is be in tune with self and to get out of these things. That's your best bet. That's it.
yes, and that makes me think about something too. Is like, I'm thinking the best like way to combat abuse for women, or just any victim, is to educate and empower people for themselves. I'm
Mm.
like starting to think that, I think, I'm not saying that abuse won't still happen, but I think one of the best ways to combat it is to empower people, to say, to give people basically self worth and self esteem. Say, I don't have to accept
Hmm.
things.
Exactly. And
I
that's
think
what
that's
I'm
really the
saying.
best combatant, because we can scream that you're worth more than this all day long, but if you don't feel it, what can happen?
It means
What can I
nothing.
do?
Yeah. It means
You
nothing.
got to empower people. That's really what it is.
No,
Empower, educate, uplift, support.
I absolutely, and that's why I say what I say about, like, you have to, if you want something different and require something different, you're going to have to, first of all, be something different. And you're going to have to make sure that whoever comes in your life is doing that, right? And that's why I say, I don't think it's necessarily normalized. I think it's more of, I think it's more of of a thing that we are,
We turn a blind eye to this sort of thing, though, in some ways.
I don't think we really turn a blind eye to it, personally. I think that it's like, no matter what I say, if somebody wants to do that, they're going to do that. Especially at that young of an age, at 18, you feel like you're just, you just got grown. You really can do whatever you want to do. You have this, level of invincibility that you think you have. Um, and so you think you can just do whatever. And so, unfortunately, I think there's certain things that you just, I don't want this for anybody, but there's certain things that I personally have just had to learn on my own. I've had to slightly get burned in order to truly get the decision that I was making, the repercussions of my choices. And so I think, like, hopefully, I really hope this relationship goes well and it's not an abusive situation in any way. But I think she will have to learn so that she can make different decisions.
Yeah,
Like, at
because
the
I
bare
guess
minimum, this is a lesson.
on the other side of 25, you just see it all. You're like, baby girl, you don't even know. It can look like that just
But
because
I
you're
think
on the other
at
side.
25, I don't even know because I'm not in said relationship. I don't know the dynamic.
I'm just
I don't
saying
know.
it just to the. I guess what I'm saying, based off of previous narratives, is we've seen this type of thing before. Not saying hers is that. Maybe it's perfect and she'll end up with this man forever. I don't know. I'm just saying we've seen this type of story.
Just because we've seen this type of study doesn't mean that is this story.
I guess you're like, give them the benefit of a doubt. Nah,
It's not
I
even the
don't
benefit
know.
of the doubt. It's more of like, this is not my business. Like, if I can be a resource to you and if I see something and I'm in this space, then that's one thing. Um, and if I can advocate for you in a way that you cannot advocate for yourself, that's another thing. But that requires, I think, um, first of all, a little bit of a self-awareness, some acknowledgement and accountability on the situation that you are in so that you can get out of said situation. Just because this guy is financially supporting you, I can't say that's automatically abuse. I don't know what the dynamic is.
We don't. We don't. All I'm saying is take out her on time. Actually, take her out of the situation. It's just we know based off of history that that has been a way of, and so when you as an outsider looking in, you're like, well, all I know is what I know the previous ways of abuse. It just when that springs up, that ring is like, oh, is that a red flag? Because it's like
I
we're
mean,
just
maybe for
putting
you,
context
I don't
clues
think it's.
together. That's what I'm looking
But
at
I
it
think
as.
that puts you into a room of assumptions, and that is where you could be wrong, very wrong, and that's.
Okay, and assumptions could very well be wrong, but that's all we have. That's what a red flag is an assumption
But that's what I'm saying, though. I think that you
based off
can
of evidence,
not necessarily not
experience.
always evidence either. Shoot, assumptions can be based out of anything. First of all, but you can also be in your assumptions. You can be loud and wrong, and so that's why I'm saying you don't even have enough evidence or context a lot of times to be like, oh, this is that. Like,
I'm
don't be
not making
wrong.
absolute statements. I'm saying that we have seen that there is a such thing. This is a hard fast truth. There is a such thing as financial abuse and control through finances. There's a
Yes,
such thing as when young women go and live with men who have access and resources that they end up controlling their lives. We have seen that. And it's not even an uncommon thing to see. So when we see something that mimics it, we're like, well, I don't know. We don't know if it's good or not. To us looking from the outside, it's like a placebo. It could
my
be
point exactly.
perfectly
That's why I shouldn't
fine.
be speaking on it. I don't know. I don't know.
That's all I'm saying is how are people on the outside also supposed to know? Because we just only
Yeah, but
see.
you were on the outside. It is not your business. Like I can see if you were in their inner circle. I can see if you were in their maybe their inner outer circle. Like you were directly in contact with them to have a knowledge that we are not privy to. We don't have that. We don't.
Yes, I mean, well, I'm responding to the Reddit thing like
I know,
everybody
but I'm
else.
saying like even whoever posted this Reddit, right? They feel very inclined to give an opinion on something that they have very little knowledge on. It seems like,
I mean, I get that, but
and
I
I don't
I
think
think
it's
you were
wise.
posing like a general question, like why is grooming normalized? She just used that as an example, in my opinion. But
No, I think she was posing a genuine question. But I think that using them as an example is
then who else? Then
a bad
anybody else would be
example.
using
I
an
think
example.
using somebody who is like Cassie and Diddy would have been a good example. R. Kelly and all of the females that he had with him would have been a good example because that is actually grooming. There's actual evidence saying they even were groomed, right? This
Mm.
is just saying because he's financially responsible or he takes care of her financially that he is automatically grooming her essentially, and because she's 18 he's 26.
Yeah. Well, I guess for me, I'll only speak for me and what I see when I read this is that at one point R. Kelly was a 26 and he had a 18. You see what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
a Diddy was a 26 with an 18. So what makes that guy really any different if he's in the same, you know what I mean? That's what it can appear like. It looks like trends. But we don't, like you said, we don't know. Correlation does not mean causation, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So we'll leave it at that. All
Please do.
right.
The moral of the story is I think of that particular Reddit is I think just do some self-work, get you in a better place
Mhm.
before entering in said relationships, and I think it can that then becomes tenfold in who you allow into your space. So that is what
Mhm.
I will say.
Mhm. And do that as early as humanly possible because
Mm-hmm.
obviously 18 is a very young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And groom people who potentially groom, not saying he is grooming, people who potentially groom look for you as vulnerable and as impressionable as possible.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, why would they wouldn't I would doubt a groomer would go for somebody who has like a real strong sense of self. It's harder to crack.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know if I've been around anybody who's been like wanted to groom me. So I don't know. I don't know what that
that you know
experience is like.
of. They don't go around like, I'm grooming you.
Yeah, but I personally, like, if I'm just not interested, I'm just not interested. It's just a no for me. Or if I have an intention, I'm pretty upfront about my intention. If your intentions don't match with mine, we have nothing to discuss.
That's true.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
Different strokes for different folks. Anyways, next Reddit.
I just feel like any old man trying to hit on young women is like, are you grooming? It like kind of, I'm not saying
Maybe it
he's
is grooming.
old.
I don't know.
It
I don't
just
know. I,
it
I think
feels
also
that
too, we live in
way.
a culture of like everything has to be new, brand new, shiny, sparkled, right? And so I think it also goes into the culture of like, I want a new woman because everything else I have has to be new, has to be you know, shined and polished and da 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 da, big shiny red. Like that is slightly the American dream. You want something big, white, shiny, and red, right?
Hmm.
New. It needs to be within
And
the
so
last five
people think
years.
about women that way. So
I
that's what
think
kills me. I'm like,
I
women
think
are
so.
people.
I think also too, I think that also goes into like some people's desire and want for even like children, for example. You want something new and that's your own, right? Not realizing the
That's so
requirement that it
problematic.
requires. You know what I mean?
That's so
So
problematic. The whole
I know it's
idea.
problematic, but unfortunately we live in a culture where I don't think the culture is pushing necessarily that, or like society is pushing that narrative particularly. But I think pushing a narrative where it's like everything must be new and shiny and clean and together and like this image thing, right? It trickles into other things.
That's
Unfortunately, I
strange
think
to
it
me.
trickles into something like grooming.
Yeah. I mean, that's strange to me because I mean, I also don't deal in like the rap world, so I don't understand that,
Yeah, same. I
but
don't either.
because my
So,
idea, you know, my pathway to being an artist has always been just self driven. It's never been like, who's on my arm? Let me like, write this screenplay or whatever, make this little video, and now I'll get a shiny new man. Or like what? So I don't understand that mentality.
well,
Maybe it's
I
just
mean, I
because I'm in a
think
different
like,
realm.
and I think you're a different woman. I think your desire is different. I think for women than men. I think men have there is a little bit more of a maybe a status
Pressure
incline.
or
There's
status to
also
get women
yeah,
are status points for them.
yeah, exactly. And so the younger, the nicer, the you know what I mean. Like those things are in part almost like a climb, right? In one way or another.
It's just so
I think, but
it
that's
is.
just my personal opinion.
No, I
So.
think that is the culture for what I've noticed. The culture for men too is like younger better. I mean, I've seen situations where like older men will like salivate over somebody who is like very young, like
Mhm,
very young girls, right?
mhm,
And I can tell it's not just because they think that she's not even a grown woman. Like it's because of the youth. You know what I
mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, I
think
think too, like, some people may want to have proximity to youth and make themselves feel useful. So, I mean, there's
okay,
a
but
lot
you
of
never know if you're
combinations
never
into
going
it.
back.
I mean, yeah, but that doesn't mean that your desire and want doesn't doesn't want that. Like nobody, I don't know anybody, probably except for me. I'm actually really excited to be old. But there's a very few people who are excited to age and to be old. And that's because we live in a society of everything has to be new, young, youthful, pretty, red, orange, like bright, bold colors, shiny. And we don't embrace the latter of that.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, we just don't. So I don't know any tradition in America specifically that promotes being old. Nothing.
I agree. I think older folks are often forgotten and
Hmm.
really discarded.
Yeah, that's it. You
Um,
come and work, do what you need to do, make money, pay your taxes, and then once you get old, you might be able to cash out Social Security. You might like that. As far as being old in America, is pretty much you get to cash out your Social
unless
Security.
and I think the only time older folks are like recognized is when they've achieved status as a younger person
Yeah, I would agree. I would
that has
agree.
carried over into their older age. Other than that,
Hmm.
most people do really ignore older people
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to in our society.
in our
They're
society.
they're very looked over.
I
Personally,
agree. And I think older people like know that and they walk around. I don't say walk around like that, but they like kind of I've heard old people be like, "Oh, you're like talking to me." You're like I'm an older person. Why not? Why
Mm-hmm.
would I not talk to you?
Yeah, because they're
Or
so
why would I
heavily
not interact
ignored.
with you?
So having this new shiny person on your, and I hate to say this like it's an object, but having this young female on your shoulder brings you thus attention.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I
that's just
think
a thought.
no, I agree. I think people also don't really even I think people don't pay attention to men just in general because it's like a dime a dozen. And so it's like it's very and like unless they are in proximity to women for the most part. If that makes sense. Like I think that's why I think so many men are like I need women, I need a woman, I need a woman. Because like their status is automatically elevated by having access to women
Hmm,
amongst men, I think.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it definitely is
It's a status point for
a
them.
status point,
And then
yeah.
the type of women you're able to get access to
Hmm.
is another status point. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think like like you're saying, like they because it's like we say all the time, it's that kind of like the girlfriend glow up thing. Like we didn't know
Hmm.
this dude before he was with this girl.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or nobody cared about him before he was with this girl. And I think men know that,
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
you know.
I
Like
don't know if it's that they like nobody knew about them because maybe they were or were not known. Who knows? But having this extra person brings you a level of attention that may be desired, at least.
yeah, I think it's the
So
Beyonce Jay-Z thing. Like let's be clear. Like
that's a bad example.
you think so?
I
I
think
mean,
so.
I think people know about Jay-Z, but like I don't know if he would have carried on in the cultural like icon space as an artist the same way Beyonce had like being with Beyonce has also really helped that.
I disagree because I think he would have gone on in history regardless.
I think he
Like
would. I
they
think
have
he would, and I just
mutually benefited each other. To be fair, I
I
think.
think he has. I think he would have gone down in history by himself. I'm just saying them together is also another like level. I think.
Yeah, but I think that has been mutually beneficial because I don't think she would be as successful without him either. I really don't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'm looking at the optics of it. Like I hate to say it, but like when people do look at them together, they're like, "Look at Beyonce." They're
Yeah, because
jealous.
she's the new shiny young woman on his
That's what I'm
arm.
saying. The
You
woman is the
know?
one who attracts the attention.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, don't be
Yeah.
wrong. Like, I think without her, he would still attract something, right? I'm not sure
Yeah, but
who, but
we would. I don't think we'd be checking visually for him the same way if he was not also tied to a young. I'm not gonna say just a young, but to some sort of woman of status. Not in the same way.
well,
I
I
think
don't
he
think
would
he
have
would
went
have
down
been
in
with.
history, but he would have been more like a Diddy, kind of like in the background.
Well, I don't think he would have been with anyone who didn't have a level of status. So let's be clear. I think it just who would it be, right? Because I don't think he's gonna go and date like he's not gonna just date a random. You know what I mean? Like he's not gonna do that.
No,
Um,
I think he would have been with somebody of status. I'm just saying, like his appeal now is definitely like culturally how people talk about him is like, oh Beyonce, there's Jay Z, like
I
their voice drops
disagree.
when they
There's
say
some
Jay
people
Z.
who legitimately be like, "That is Jay Z." Like, I disagree with that. He is, but
Maybe I'm
and
on
that's why.
Beyonce stan Twitter. I don't know, but for me, is all I'm always saying Beyonce.
Yeah, but I think you're also biased because you're not even a Jay Z fan to begin with.
I like
So
some of Jay Z
yeah,
stuff.
you like some of Jay Z stuff, but
It's a
you are
hard
not a
knock
true.
life
You're
for
not a
us.
true Jay Z
It's
fan,
a
so you're
hard knock life.
biased.
No,
That's not
because
even
I
fair.
really I went back and listened to his Blueprint album. Is I actually think he's a really genius.
No, he is. His 444 album's really good too. You
Yeah,
know.
Jay Z
Um.
honestly raps about real stuff. Like he to
Mhm.
me he is a rapper who's also an artist. Like
Mhm.
I really have to give it to him for that. And I think he really changed him and like Nas. Like I feel like their artistry
Mhm.
needs to be appreciated for being an artist, not just being a pop culture kind of icon. Like he
Mhm.
really is an artist. He's like rapping about real stuff, and he really
Yeah.
lived that life.
Yeah, he did. He really did. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, and that's why I say that I don't think it's for him. I don't think it's just an arm piece thing. I think it is genuinely he. I think Jay Z now looks the way he looks because he has put in the work. He has really worked his behind off to have what he has, and now he can relax in that because of his status. But I don't think if he had just come out today, he would not be able to get away with some of the things that he does or he has done. To be fair,
Yeah, but back
um,
then people were a little more okay with authenticity.
Yeah, and my point exactly though.
Like,
So
the music
that's why I'm
industry
saying
landscape
he's
has
able
really
to be
changed.
he's able to maintain his authenticity because and however he wants to do that now and appear however he wants to do that, regardless if Beyonce's by his side or not, and still get the accolades and the success from that, regardless of the fact because he has been successful, right?
Now
But that
this is
success has come prior to Beyonce. He was Jay-Z and he was that man before. So
yeah, but I think together they went to the stratosphere. That's me. I
agreed.
think
No, but they were already at the right underneath it. Like they were on the
they
line
were
before.
individually they were right underneath it, but let's not act like when they got together they became the it couple, the power couple
Oh, for sure.
for sure. Now,
Hmm.
okay, this brings up an interesting thing because this has also come up. Circle back to the original Reddit. Did Jay-Z groom Beyonce? That's a big
Mm,
question that's going on in the zeitgeist because he is significantly older than her.
I don't
I
know the
think
ins
we
and outs
should
of the
get into that.
relationship to judge, so I don't know. I don't know.
We don't know, but we don't know. And
I
I'm
don't
not
think it was.
saying
I
I'm
will
not
say
saying
I
it is
don't think it was
grooming.
grooming because Beyonce had her own, and to be fair, she could have dated anybody in that game. Because to be fair, Jay Z was not the Jay Z that we know today. Then,
I agree,
so to
but
be fair, I don't consider that grooming.
and I think that's and see this is why I think like you were saying like it really is case by case in our cultural how we perceive different things, right?
Hmm.
Because age wise, they would have fallen into the same bracket, if not
But that's what
more
I'm saying. The
than
qualifying
that.
characteristics are not just age.
I know. I'm just saying that age wise, if we were looking at what grooming is based off of strictly age and age gaps and power dynamics or whatever, they would
But age
fall
does
into
not
that
equal
category.
grooming.
I know. I'm just saying if it was strictly that. That's
But
what I'm trying to
you can
say.
it
I
can't
know
be
it's not.
strictly
I'm
that
just
if
saying
that
it
does not
is.
that
I'm
can't be
saying
strictly
that's
that
what
though. If that's a non qualifying factor, like it cannot be age.
I hear that. I'm saying if we have blinders and we're just looking at it strictly paper,
But that's what I'm saying. Even if you have blinders, age would not be a criteria.
grooming requires somebody to be older and somebody to be younger.
No, it doesn't. Grooming requires some level of control over said person by offering something that
Okay, define
probably they
grooming
want. Okay, let me look it up. Let me grab what is grooming.
because okay. Even if that's the definition, is usually also comes with an age gap.
The practice of preparing or training someone for a particular purpose or activity.
Look up define grooming as abuse. Sexual grooming refers to actions or behaviors used to establish an emotional connection with a minor and sometimes a child's family to lower the child's inhibitions with the objective of sexual abuse. It can occur in various settings, including online, in person, and through other means of communication. When someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or a young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. So it can be
Okay.
a young person. Doesn't have to just be a
Eh,
child.
I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Well, if that's the definition, I guess. But I don't. I personally,
I'm just saying it can
I.
look like, and that's
But it
that's
says no matter their age, gender, or race. So that's what I'm
exact.
saying. Like age should not even be a qualifying factor. If you were trying to manipulate somebody by building their trust and building an emotional connection, that is grooming. Age should not even be a factor because
Okay,
now
then
you're
I'm a,
limiting it.
so then let's expand this. So then is grooming when okay, let's say you pretend to be friends with somebody just to get in their pants. That's grooming.
Yes, that is
So
grooming.
then we've been groomed.
How?
I have. I've had
Mm.
friends who suddenly are like, "Oh, well, someone pretend to be a friend." And then say, "Oh well, I would like this kind of relationship with you," which I'm assuming is
Okay,
romantic
well,
and sexual.
I
That's
don't. Okay,
grooming.
so grooming is like I'm manipulating you into this. I think if you're like, hey, my feelings have changed, okay, that's different. That's not necessarily grooming to me.
Is it not manipulative to
No, because
pretend
you
to
can
still be
like
a friend?
somebody. I mean, depends on how they go about it. Like, I think that's on a case by case basis. But if you come to me and you communicate, hey, I like you more than just a friend right now, and I want to
See,
explore
this
this with
person didn't
you,
communicate that with me until it
okay,
was like the last time I ever saw this person. That's when they communicated. They like ask you for another relationship, and you're like, hold on, where the hell did this come from?
But
Is that
that's what
manipulation?
I don't know if
I'm
that's
actually really asking. What
I
is,
don't
so
know
what
if
is
that's
that?
manipulation, because if he's coming to you and be like, hey, I want a different type of relationship than what we currently have, then that's I think he's trying. That to me, that seems more like,
This just gets squirrely to me because it's like I don't know how long you've been doing this for
well,
and
I don't
what
think that
you've been
matters.
thinking.
I don't think that matters personally, how long he's been thinking that or not. Um, Personally,
Or what your
because you're
intentions, what was, I guess what the intentions was, because like you could have been, your grooming doesn't have to be this like over the head type thing, but it can be if someone pretends to be a friend and they're like manipulating you into a friendship that you otherwise would not have had with this person. Then is it? Then what is it? You see what I'm saying? You see how this is murky?
mm, it's a case by case basis, I guess.
It is a case by case basis, but it makes you like, well, at least from my end, it's like, well, I'm assuming this was a friend. To me, it was always a friendship. So I feel manipulated. But you don't feel like it's manipulation because you stated your, I guess you stated your, or your feelings changed. So what is it?
I
How
mean,
was I supposed to know
I
your
think it's a
feelings was
case
changing?
communication. But
But they
if
didn't
you
communicate.
okay, you just said that he told you when you went over to his house.
Told me after and then that was the end of the friendship.
Okay,
And then
is
so
that
I
really
was led to
manipulation,
believe.
or is that he was trying to tell you?
Well, I believe the entire time that we were friends, right? So I'm thinking this ain't coming down the line, or I wouldn't have never been friends with you. So you led me to believe we were friends.
Okay, so if
I
you
would
feel
have
like it's
never been friends
manipulation,
with
it's
you.
manipulation then.
And that's why I'm like, so to me it feels like manipulation, but to this other person it feels like, oh, I my feelings changed. So what is it? You see how this gets murky?
No, I don't.
I think it is murky.
If you feel like it's manipulation, it's manipulation. I don't.
To
I
me
mean,
it's
I don't know.
to me that situation felt like manipulation. But then there's other situations where I felt very clearly somebody was like coming on to me and I'm like, okay, I know where to stop this right now. That person, I didn't know where to stop it because I didn't know what this person's intentions was. They led me to believe they were a friend. They never once mentioned anything, never made me feel uncomfortable, never nothing. Until the one instance where I'm like, now I'm feeling uncomfortable around you because you're, making comments on my body, like trying to show me off to your friends. Like
That's what I'm
there's
saying.
something
If
going
you
on
feel like
here.
it's manipulation, then that's what it is.
Exactly. So then was I groomed?
If you feel like you were groomed, that's why I say it's not for us to speak on, because it's really case by case.
So it's just, I guess it's just case by case because like it just makes it just, I guess like you said, it can't be this. There's no catch all for it. It depends on how somebody feels about the situation, which makes it hard to, I guess, legally quantify these things too.
Mm-hmm. Because we have different opinions on the same situation. So that's why I always say, if you come to me and I need to be a resource to you, I got you, boo. But I can't be speaking on people's business that I really am not knowledgeable about or know the ins and outs of it fully.
Or and you don't know. I think the other thing too is like you don't know how someone is perceiving the other person's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So, like in my case, maybe you don't consider that would be grooming or manipulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you also don't know what my perception of that person was,
Exactly. Or your experience of that
what our
person.
day to day interactions were, and
Yeah,
what they felt like, and what I I was led to believe.
exactly. So yeah, which is
So,
why these things are very based out of your personal experience and your own perceived um, opinion of it.
mhm. And I mean, it changes things. Like there's just no cut and dry because, like I was saying, you can feel like one person is a groomer and the other person who might do something, you know, I guess similar, and it might not feel like that,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. Yep.
So, but based on that definition of grooming, it's kind of broad.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. I do think there needs to be less of an emphasis on age, because anybody can be groomed, to be fair. So,
Yeah, I mean, I can see
but
that. I
I
can
know
see that.
I also understand why they are limiting it to that too, because they're pretty much saying like your prefrontal is not developed. decision making can be difficult. So,
Mhm.
or not best. So,
I will also say I want to also clarify in my like what I was talking about in my experience is while I do consider that manipulative, I don't know if it was the other person's intention, like, I'm gonna groom you. Like, I don't
mhm.
feel like it was that, but I do feel like the behavior was manipulative.
Sure.
Just to be clear, I just wanted to like make that clear for anybody listening. You know, so it makes it complex.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
because there's this other level too of like, how do you, if you are romantically interested in somebody, a lot of the what we consider romantic is kind of grooming behavior.
Yeah, my
Like
point exactly.
pursuing somebody
which is why,
is kind of predatory.
I say that you cannot. It's hard to say something is or is not grooming if we're
Hmm.
already like the base standard of what you should be doing is can be
Predatory.
considered grooming.
Hmm.
So I mean, any relationship is thus the grooming
And
if that's the
but
case.
I think the grooming comes with intent.
Yeah, but who's to say that just because I intend to not groom you doesn't mean that you don't feel like you're groomed?
Exactly.
So even if my intent is pure and you feel like it's not, we're still here again.
Yep.
People, do the work to heal, please. Okay.
Do the
And
work to
hopefully you can
heal.
avoid these situations. Even in healing, you probably can't completely avoid them, but hopefully do your darnest to try, right?
Hmm. I think, like I said, stated before, I don't feel like it was that other person's intention to quote groom, and I'm not even considering it totally grooming, but I do consider the behavior manipulative at the very least. But I think all romantic pursuing, a lot of times, is manipulative behavior.
Hmm, yeah, I guess.
And so,
That's,
from that person's perspective, I could see how that person could just see, oh, this is normal course of action. But to me, it looks like, well, I was misled.
I don't, yeah, that's your opinion, I guess, because I don't see the misleading, but okay.
To me, it was misled. Well, you don't know the total nature of the relationship, but
Yeah.
it was always strictly. It wasn't even totally a friendship. It was almost a business type relationship.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even if he's like, oh, it's something has changed in me, I feel something different. That
But that
doesn't
was
mean
never
that
really.
it's,
That was never stated. It was always
yeah, but
led
even
to
if it's
believe that
not
it was a
stated, who's to
friendship.
say that he didn't start feeling like that 2 days before he told you? Like,
And well, I that's what I'm saying. I don't. But from my perspective, from somebody who had no idea, to me, is we went from this to that. That's what it looked like.
yeah, but even if you went from that to that, it's clear communication. Hey, I'm not interested and keep it moving. I don't know if I would consider that to be
I did,
manipulative.
but okay. I also knew this person for years.
Even if you know them for years, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters.
If it's still
This is
to
like, okay,
me,
so say me and Corbin have been friends. Corbin is one of my best friends. We've been friends since kindergarten, okay? Corbin comes up to me one day, and this is never going to happen. So this is why I'm using this as an example. Anyways,
that you know of.
oh, I know it's not going to happen. Corbin is not worried about me. I can tell you that. Corbin and I would be a really bad relationship. It would be very volatile. So that's that. Anyways, um, Corbin comes to me. We've been friends for 20 years. And he's like, on the 29th year, he's like, hey, Catelyn, I think I like you. And I'm going to be like, oh, well, congratulations. I don't like you. I'm not interested. I appreciate, you coming to tell me, but I just want to remain your friend, right? I don't feel like he was manipulating me for 20 years. I just feel like he had a change of heart. Maybe he's really going through something mentally because that's weird. And we're going to continue being friends. Like, yeah.
Okay,
I
that
don't feel
wasn't
like he manipulated me, but
that. Well, that wasn't how my situation went, but that's your perception of not feeling manipulated.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My perception was different because to me, the relationship I had with this person was uh, strictly friend. Like I said, really borderline just business relationship.
Yeah, but
never
even
made
if it's
any
that,
kind
things
of.
can change. And so that's what I'm saying. Things can change, and you may not know they are changing until someone communicates that they have changed. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's manipulative, because I feel like manipulation goes back to intent. And he may have not had the intent to manipulate you, which thus makes it not manipulation. He wanted said relationship to change, you didn't, and that's okay. You go your separate ways. Now, if you feel like that, then you're entitled to feel like that. Nobody's taking
It's based
away,
off of other
your feeling.
experiences. I don't exactly want to like share them all here, but
Yeah.
it's based off of other experiences that made me feel manipulated.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that in that particular case, that was just kind of like, I think that goes more into trauma response, be on high alert, more than just like, oh, this particular case he was trying to manipulate, like, in my personal opinion of what I perceive and know about said situation. But that doesn't mean that your feelings are not valid in that. If you feel manipulated, then your feelings are valid.
It's based off of other. It's based off of other things
Yeah, that's fair.
that I don't. That made me feel like not safe, no longer safe in this person's company. If that makes
Sure.
sense, physically safe in this person's company because of other things that were discussed.
Fair
Let's
enough.
let's just say that. And
Yeah.
so that's
Okay.
that's another way that, to me, like I said, this is why we don't know everybody's story. It felt manipulative,
Fair.
and like maybe people don't feel like it is from the outside, but other people also were not in the situation either.
Facts. No, I agree.
So
And
to
that
me,
this is
it felt
what goes back to
manipulative.
my main point of like, we as outsiders, especially on the outside of the outside of the outside of the outside, cannot speak on situations we know nothing about.
Mhm.
It pays you to mind your own business. I promise you. And that's not to be like, oh, I don't want to know about it, like in the way of like, oh, you want her to get hurt or anything, because that's not what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I'm saying that if you do not have the knowledge or the information privy to make an educated response, or
Mhm.
at least a knowledgeable response, I really don't think we should be making it, even in a sense of like, um, even when it comes to something like grooming, right?
Mhm.
Because kids will do what kids are going to do.
Mhm.
And if someone predatory wants to do something, they will do what they're going to do,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, Now, it is your job to be an advocate for these people if something, were to go wrong, and obviously to educate and hope, they do a lot of self work, and, you teach your children and things like that. Okay, cool. However, in the midst of the moment, when push comes to shove, when it's time to show what knowledge you have and do not have, sometimes that's left up to the person. All you can do is sit and watch and be on the sidelines and rooting for them to get out and things like that, and supporting them on the sidelines. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Actually, I do want to share something just as a relation to this relationship. Not relation. It wasn't a relationship. It was, I don't know what that was. But this other person, and why I consider it manipulative. This other person, I was planning on, we were planning on going to the same city for a summer, right? And I had asked this person, like, oh, assuming they're a friend, a safe friend, okay. I'd asked this person, like, would it be cool if I stayed with you for however long, right? And this person was like, yes, I'm safe. I'm fine. Me and my friends are fine. Like, you don't have anything to worry about. And so then I go over there and there's something to worry about.
So what are you
So
what are you trying to
what I'm
say?
saying is, to me, that felt manipulative because you go from, oh, we're safe. We're not interested in you like that. You're like, you don't have anything to worry about. I'm a safe person. I stayed with women before and nothing has ever happened. And now I go over there and you're like trying to move this relationship to a different level. That to me felt manipulative. And like my safety is also in question because I don't know at this point.
I mean, yeah, if that's how you feel.
It's like, I'm assuming things that you are a safe person because I've also known you for a while and whatever. And I'm asking if that's like okay. And you're telling me like, oh, it's okay because I'm not, we're not like that. I don't do this. And then you do it.
If that's how you feel, sure.
Like, I don't know. I felt like my personal safety was in question at that point. Mainly, and that's also part of my preference and my vigilance, because I would never, I never did it in college, and I never would have done it, and I don't do it now, and it's also because of that situation. Like, I don't like to be in those situations where somebody is. I don't want to be alone with people like that, frankly, and I make sure that I'm not. So I felt like I was like skirting around that, and that felt manipulative to me.
Sure. I mean, no, I'm not here to take away from your feeling. So if that's how you feel.
So, um, yeah. Anyways, good conversation. We didn't actually do that many Reddits, and
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
did
wrap up
one.
this episode. Um, yeah. Thanks for listening. We encourage you to look at Reddit Black Ladies because they have some good commentary and things over there. This ended up being an episode on grooming, but whatever.
Yeah, this is a grooming episode. Not necessarily black ladies anymore, but hey, check out the Reddit. It's good stuff. So.
Yeah, they have lots of good stuff over there. Hopefully, we'll be able to share it in the future.
Mm-hmm. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.